Hi, everybody. Welcome back to In Conversation with Justine Friedman. I am sitting again with my friend and colleague, Roleen Kaplan, this week, and we are going to elaborate a little bit more on what we just discussed last week, where I started introducing Roleen and the work that she does, and how we are building towards bringing you an incredible workshop in the month of Elul, which will be, I think it's September this year. We need to still decide on an actual date. And leading up to that, we are going to have a few more of these discussions so that you can get a sense of exactly what it is what the work is that we both do, and how you can integrate this kind of work in your own lives. So, Roleen, welcome back.
Thank you. Nice to be back. How are you doing, Justine? Are you well?
I'm good. Thank you so much. It seems like there's a lot that happens in 1 week.
Unbelievable.
So last week, I think you said some incredible things, and having worked with you over the last few years, I was privileged to be able to already know so much of what you discussed. But one of the points that you raised got a lot of interest from our viewers, and I thought that maybe we could lead from there today and discuss that in a little bit more detail. And the point that you made, which was so pertinent also to the work that I do, is about how in consultation with clients, time and time again, their food issues and health issues come up, and how their relationship to eating and to food is often part and parcel of what you are working through with clients. So I'm wondering if you can give us a little bit more of an understanding of what you meant on that, just elaborate more on that, because that's something that's very close to how I work, and I'd like our viewers to understand more of along those lines. So we discussed it a little bit last week, but I'm really asking you to go a bit deeper today, if we can do that.
Okay. So for most people, if not for all of us, food becomes a comfort. Food becomes a distraction away from our anxieties, away from how we feel about ourselves, and it takes us into a different place. It takes us into a place of what we think is peace of mind and feeling harmonious. And essentially, it's actually a superficial, immediate gratification. Even though it is gratification for that moment in time, it's superficial. And the thoughts that drive us into wanting chocolate, wanting coffee, for example, coffee and chocolates, the caffeines that give us that adrenaline and make us feel like we have energy or make us feel better, are not positive thoughts that often drive us in that direction. They're more often than not negative thoughts that drive us in that direction. And
are you saying waking up and wanting a cup of coffee first thing in the morning, or just during the day in order to get a pick-me-up?
I think during the day to get a pick-me-up, but sometimes people need a pick-me-up as they open their eyes.
Okay.
And they're I've got to have that cup of coffee to feel good about my day. Otherwise, I'm just not going to have a great day. So already the thought is, if I don't have that cup of coffee, I'm not going to have a good day. So already there's a negative driver.
An external dependency on the cup of coffee in order to ensure the day. Okay, all right.
100%. So that is what happens to a lot of people, including me, and including, I suppose, most of humanity. There's something that drives them into that need for food or into that need to feel better. And so one of the drivers that are very, very strong is anger, for example, or stress, for example. And people dive into the food in order to feel better about themselves. I'm sure that you see that a lot in your practice.
So it's interesting that you bring that up, because what I like to also focus on with my clients, especially those who come to me describing that they find that they are emotional eaters. and I have to be honest, I think most of us are emotional eaters, but sometimes it's taken a little bit more to the extreme. That when you mention like anger, or for example anxiety or sadness, or what would be the driving force to be able to use food in that situation, is definitely more as a numbing experience. That's the word that I use. Not always from a distraction, definitely, but I find that there's so many external behaviors that we implement today in order to help us cope and manage with the daily stresses and challenges that we have, that become very numbing. So, I mean, I'm at fault as much as the next person. For me, you know, scrolling on my cell phone becomes like a numbing activity, because I'm so mindful maybe of the food, and I don't always want to head to that. But what I discuss with my clients who are specifically expressing to me that they feel that they have this emotional eating connection is that when an emotion is not able to be fully expressed and they are suppressing it instead because it becomes too uncomfortable, or they're not comfortable with how they're feeling or the reason that they're feeling that. So, for example, anger. When food is used to suppress the emotion, then that distraction and that numbing becomes an unhealthy way of dealing with it. So food gets used as a tool in order to escape those feelings. And the way that I've always, and I mean, I'm not sure from a psychological point of view how beneficial this is, but I've always tried to encourage my clients, and I certainly use it for myself as well, that when they're feeling an emotion, to rather express it, to say out loud to themselves, or even quietly to themselves if they're in a group of people, I am feeling angry, I am feeling anxious, I am feeling fearful, whatever the actual emotion is. I say name it and express it, because when we go to food or whatever other behaviors we have in order to suppress it, then first of all, we're not dealing with what's just happened, and we're using food in a negative way. Because typically food, why do we need to eat? And this is something that I also try and educate my clients on, is that food is really there from a physiological point of view in order for us to lead a healthy life. You know, God created food to be delicious and tasty, and there's a reason for it, because if we just stopped eating and we didn't enjoy what we were eating, well, then we would die. So it was very clever, you know, on that part, to be able to create these unbelievably delicious, appealing foods, but we need to be able to use them for the right reasons. And I think that when we end up taking pleasure from food, as opposed to enjoying it and being in pleasure and eating for the right reasons, for hunger and in a social environment in the correct way, then there's more dis-ease or more disease that is created.
Okay, so I agree 100%. Proper intention when you're eating food is absolutely vital. So I want to come in here a little bit with the body and the soul, if I can.
Of course, this is what I'm speaking to, that it's important that, yes, definitely.
So there's no doubt about it, and there's books written about this, that the body and the soul are actually united in the act of eating. The two are united in the act of eating. And it's my understanding that one of our responsibilities as human beings is to uplift the physical world into a higher state of consciousness. So the physical world for me is not only the world around us. The physical world for me is also our physical body. So to uplift the physical world around us, we have to lift our own physical bodies up as well. We have to uplift ourselves into a higher state of consciousness in order to take that level of thought, of consciousness, into the physical world that we're activating in, that we are actioning in, that we are behaving in. And in order to do that, we have to eat intentionally. We have to know that the plant that we're eating, the animal that we're eating, the vegetable that we're eating is actually in a way being sacrificed to feed us. So I read a really important quote, and I wish I could know where, I can't actually remember where it comes from, but it goes something like this. I'm going to read it. All food is sacred. A life of a plant or animal has been sacrificed to feed another being. So when people sit down and they eat, it is important to be mindful that what they are eating has been sacrificed to give them life as well, has been sacrificed to give them health that they are putting into their body. And therefore, what comes with that is gratitude and appreciation and intentional eating, rather than what you said, just pleasure eating.
It's incredible. And I think that just really puts a whole new spin on approaching a meal, because, you know, I always encourage the people that I'm working with that when they're about to sit down to eat a meal, that they actually put the food on a plate as opposed to walk and eat. And it's hard for young mothers, and it's hard for, you know, very active people as well. But even for just to be able to pause with that food and look at it on the plate and have that moment of connection of what I'm about to do, I'm about to eat, that exactly as you say, that there's a gratitude that comes with it, that I have a full plate of food in front of me. If you can pay attention to where it came from, even greater, because then your level of gratitude is even higher. And through eating in a more mindful and intentional way, you're not only elevating the food that was a sacrifice, perhaps, but also yourself. So when we eat in a certain way, and we eat with, I always think about it, like, how would you eat if you were sitting in front of the Queen of England? Like, as opposed to, you know, sitting on the street somewhere with somebody who maybe never manages, God forbid, to have enough food to eat. If you were sitting at a table with the King and Queen, you are going to eat with refinement. You are going to eat slowly. You are not going to overdo it, hopefully, because you're enjoying more than just the food. You're enjoying the experience. And I think when we elevate the food by the way that we're eating it, as well as our behavior around it, then we feel more elevated. And I think one of the key elements for me in my work as well is connecting the fact that I love this quote. It says, I am a soul and I have a body. Because we are so focused on the body, be it the way we look, the way we dress, what our weight is, what our weight isn't, what isn't, that's a bad English expression to the English teacher, I'm saying, you know, what we have, what we don't have in our immediate physical world, and how we present that body to the world. But we lose the fact that there's actually an essence inside of it that is really why we need to be here. And I've learned in my own, you know, listening to classes and reading, that exactly as you said, that the soul needs food in order to stay in the body. And I love the visual of it being glued to the body by eating. So how we eat also enhances the interface between body and soul. And that I feel is also an incredible way of being able to focus on things. If you can focus on the fact that I am a soul, I can live in a more elevated way if I choose to, or I can really be so focused on the body, which screams at us on a daily basis to satisfy all the urges that we need, because if we ignore that, that also wouldn't be good. I think it's the balance between the two that is so incredibly important.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. We have one body that was given to us, and we have a soul that was breathed into us, as far as I understand. And we have to look after both of them. And both of them are intimately connected in every single which way. And including food, the food that we eat. So it is up to us to acknowledge that, to be mindful of that, and to take responsibility for having a positive relationship with food and with ourselves, and vice versa. But that takes time. Absolutely. That takes time. It takes understanding, and it takes a lot of practice. A lot of practice to create the habits.
Correct.
That are healthy habits.
Correct.
To live with that kind of vibration, within that kind of a journey.
I love that, because habits is something I also work extensively with, and I think maybe that's where we can pick up from next week, is discussing more about the habits and how that also helps to enhance our thoughts around food and our body, soul and body. Because, and this is what's his name? Oh, I've gone blank. Is it James Clear who wrote, hold on, I'm looking on my bookshelf. James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits. I love that book. He says that we do not rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. So when we're trying to achieve things in life, if the basic daily habits and practices are not there, we can want to be eating healthily. We can be wanting to eat with intention and to be healing this body, soul, food dynamic. But if the habits that we are practicing don't support it, then our goals become so far off and we can despair in the process. So I think if this is a direction that we can take for next week, that we can get a little bit more intimately into habits and how to start building better habits in order to support a healthier life in general, body, soul, mind as well.
That's amazing. Awesome. And maybe also letting go of bad habits.
Yes, definitely. So let's discuss that more next week, because I'm already thinking along, like I've got bells going off in my head about how to let go of bad habits and how to introduce new good habits. So that'll be an amazing topic to pick up from. Okay, looking forward to that. Brilliant. So I just want to let the viewers know, thank you so much for joining us again. If you are enjoying these videos, please like the videos and leave us comments in the comment section so that we can also address your questions if you have any. And subscribe to the YouTube channel, to my YouTube channel while you're watching this, so that you can be notified of further videos that are coming out on the discussions and the conversation between Roleen and myself. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Roleen, thank you so much. Thanks, Justine. Lovely to chat to you and to unpack this very deep and meaningful area of work that we are both doing more and more. Fantastic. Thank you. Great chatting to you too. Have a great day. Everyone, have a wonderful day.